don't be afraid to invest in yourself, invest in the business, pay for the coaching, pay for pediatric experience, whatever you think is going to help get you there, even if, there's a couple zeros on the end of it, like that is okay.
All right, chiropractors and chiropractic students, welcome to the Family Practice Podcast. The one you've been waiting way too long for, because this podcast will actually stay focused on chiropractic. Not only what it takes to get world-class clinical results for kids and families in your community, but also what it takes to build a legendary, incredible family practice that takes care of your family way beyond your dreams. I'm Dr. Tony Ebel, and I'll be joined by Dr. Matt Hill, Dr. Ellie Wright, Jackie Jakubowicz, and incredible guests, chiros, associates, CAs, all these folks making massive impact around the world. We're going to cover everything: pediatric, perinatal, family practice. This is the podcast you've been waiting for, because moms and dads and families have always needed us. Now they're finally ready for us. I hope you're ready for the Family Practice Podcast. Let's go.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to the Family Practice Podcast. I'm your co-host, Dr. Allie Wright. And wow, are we in for a sweet treat today, because we have Drs. Chandler and Rachel Boggs, a complete power couple, proud parents, believers, and now new owners of an amazing family practice out of Fort Wayne, Indiana called The Well. Welcome, guys.
Oh, thank you so much, Allie.
Thanks for having us. We're so excited to be here.
I know.
Awesome.
I'm so excited that you guys are here. So I've actually known and looked up to Dr. Chandler my entire life, because our dads are identical twins. So we have grown up together and everything, and it's been amazing. But what I'm dying to know is, Dr. Rachel, why did you become a pediatric chiropractor?
So I had always known I wanted to do something in like the medical field, and I wanted to do something with kids. So I actually went to school in Canada. I'm from Canada. So I went to school there, and I did my exercise science degree. And then I had learned about chiropractic care since I used to be a gymnast. I had gone to the chiropractor. And I just loved how good it made my body feel. I knew more of like the pain-based side of chiropractic. And then as I ended up going to chiropractic school, that's when I really learned the holistic side of things. I had no clue about any natural healing, natural health, nothing. I knew nothing. I was very Western medicine. So until I started my chiropractic journey, and then I realized, oh my goodness, this is amazing. It can really help kids like from birth and even before birth. With preconception and everything. So
that's so cool.
It's
and
cool.
Where did your passion, I want to dive in more to that. Where did your passion for kids come from? Like growing up, why do you love kids?
Why do I love kids? So I always knew I wanted to be a mom since I was, I don't even know, born. I don't know. But I always wanted to be a mom. I always loved babysitting, loved being around my little cousins. And I was always babysitting. I did coach gymnastics too. So I loved, again, being around kids. And I knew I wanted to be a mom, and I knew chiropractic would be a really good avenue for that too.
Yes, for sure.
So when I thought, I want to be a pediatrician, then I was like, well, that's going to take a lot of time. Obviously the chiropractic school does take a long time still. But I knew that with owning your own practice, then you'd be able to have flexible hours, be able to be home with family, that kind of thing. Or in our case, we actually bring our son to work with us. So I'm sure we'll talk about that too.
Yeah. That is the best. Actually, let's talk about Rowan. Tell us how your birth was.
Birth. Okay. Well, we, again, we're in chiropractic school together, learning from Dr. Shar, I think. And we first heard about home birth, and both of us, we weren't even dating at the time. We were just best friends. But I knew from then on, I'm going to have a home birth whenever I get to that point in my life. So we knew, always that we were going to do a home birth, and Rowan was born at home, 41 weeks. Beautiful birth.
That's awesome.
Around 8 hours total labor. He was born in the tub at our house, and
That's
I wouldn't
cool.
change it. I wouldn't change any part of it. Pregnancy was awesome. It was such a cool journey. He's almost 16 months old.
Aww.
So.
And
I was just going to say, he's been coming to the office ever since Rachel was back from her 12-week maternity leave. And then Rachel was baby wearing and adjusting, or he would be laying on the floor in the pregnancy pillow in my office when I would be adjusting people. And I think others really see how cool that is, and almost empowering to other moms too.
Sure.
Like, it's okay to bring your kid to work, and it doesn't have to be this weird thing. It's like, we're just going to do this, and that's what we've decided for our family. And especially being able to open up our own office together, Rowan has always been in the picture.
Yep. And we've always thought even about when we're opening our office, how to make it accessible to him, or like we have a room where he can nap during the day so that we can be working, he can be comfortable, and that he's always included in that, just because for us, it's our family's number one and super important. So we want to be able to work around that and make sure that we're doing our best work, but also that our families together.
Yeah.
And our baby's there with us. So
oh my goodness. Talk about embodying like the family practice, right? Like the perfect people to interview right here, guys. That's so cool. So where did your guys' journey start together, Chandler? What was that? I mean, I knew you had a crush on her the whole time. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that is true. So we started chiropractic school, and I mean, really, I tell this to patients and everything. All the classes you take are the same with all of your peers, all your classmates. So you really get into the weeds and all those classes with your core group.
Yeah.
And so Rachel and I were lucky to just start being close right from the beginning. And we were study buddies, friends. You got to have fun in chiropractic school too. So we would, explore Atlanta and do lots of things together. And over the years, whether one of us was in a relationship with someone else or not, we really got to get close on deeper levels as far as what we want out of our life, whether that's faith, family, all those types of things. And then, closer to the end of school, right before COVID, actually, Rachel and I were both not in a relationship anymore. And we're like, well, we spend so much time with each other already. People on campus probably thought we might have been dating because we walked to class back and forth.
It's true. I used to see them. They would always like be study buddies. I have a video in my Snapchat, and it's like them doing the extremities tests to each other. And I'm are you guys even dating? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But that was so cool. So you went back to Indiana during COVID.
Yes.
And go from there.
So this honestly was like a gift from God in a weird way, that Rachel got to come to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where I'm from and where we practice now. And so she got to stay at my dad's house. We thought it was only going to be for like 2 weeks. No one knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And that 2 weeks turned into 3 months. She got to see what Fort Wayne was like. And she can attest to this too, that it reminded her a lot of what her hometown was like, and that maybe it wasn't not an easy transition, but like a comfortable place, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. Similar size and everything. And I honestly can say that if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have been ready to just hey, I'm going to move to Indiana, coming from Saskatchewan, Canada. I was like, I had always planned on going back to Saskatchewan, or at least back to Canada, with family and friends and everything there. So having that experience and just being able to stay there for that many months, I was like, okay, can I see myself living here?
Right.
Are we going to get married? What's going to go on? So we pretty much knew when we started dating, hey, if we're dating, we're going to get married, or it's at least serious, this is going to be serious. Let's kind of plan our life. So it was pretty serious from the start.
And then a year after that, we both were graduating. We both were able to have the opportunity to come back to work with my dad. And then another year, or 6 months later, married. Another year, our son was here. And fun fact, actually, Dr. Rachel and I got married legally a whole year before at the courthouse, had to do all that so my wife didn't get basically deported. So
wait, did you just expose that on this podcast? I love this. We're sharing all the secrets. This is amazing. So I want to pick up where, Chandler, you graduated 3 months before Rachel, right? And you went back to your dad's practice in Fort Wayne. Tell us a little bit about that, and just what that looked like.
So to me, in chiropractic school, is always you kind of had 3 options. You could either open right out of the gate, you could go with some franchise, and they would help you open, or you could associate for hopefully a kick butt office and then maybe do your own thing one day. So I went through those different ideas, and I was like, man, my dad was a big part of why I wanted to become a chiropractor. You can, probably attest to that too.
Yeah, our dads are chiropractors. I don't think we mentioned that. So they're identical twins, and they're also chiropractors, and we have 7 chiropractors in our family. Yes. So continue.
So I was like, you know what? If I was towards the end of my career and never got the chance to say I worked with my dad, I would forever regret that. So, I was really happy that I made that decision. And I knew that going into Fort Wayne to a big thriving office, they were actually in a little bit of a transition, that one of the other veteran docs was scaling out a little bit. And so I stepped into booming practice. I never had to do screenings, nothing like that. So I was very fortunate to be able to work with my dad for those 3 months. And then Rachel came along and we just kept, plugging and chugging. But I knew that I wanted to start my career there for sure and see kind of where that office and God was going to take us.
Yep. And you primarily, what was your target market for you going through school and then moving into your dad's office of who did you want to see? Who was your ideal patient at first?
For sure. So I originally, I love sports, athlete and stuff. And so I wanted to really like pour back into that demographic. So I thought like younger athletes and so forth, maybe, get some other certifications, sports chiropractic, maybe like, down the road, be in with some big team or college or something cool like that, just because I like that outside of the chiropractic world. But as far as then when I got into practice, it was more so I kind of saw a little bit of everyone, like, they say 0 to 100, whatever. And I would see really just
womb to tomb.
Yeah, womb to tomb. Exactly. So I was really enjoying that, but I never had like that target patient that I really was either marketing to or loved seeing until really Rachel helped me kind of find that.
Yeah. And I absolutely admired Rachel through this entire transition because she has always been pediatric focused. She's taken every single pediatric seminar. She is certified in everything you can be certified in. And she, like we said, loves babies, loves kids, is so good with them. She's probably one of the only people I would ever trust with Goldie. And so I loved how she went into this practice. This was not her target market. So Dr. Rachel, I want you to talk to us and tell us, how did you build your circle? You're not from Indiana. You're not even from this country, right?
Yeah.
And then you come into kind of this foreign land and you have to make a name for yourself. You have to build your circle and your community connections and build a prenatal and pediatric office out of one that didn't necessarily exist at that time. So how did you do it?
So how did I do it? That's the golden question, right? So honestly, huge for me was getting on social media. There was an Instagram for this office, just very basic, whatever. So I started to get on there and I followed every doula in the area. I followed every midwife. I followed every doula. I knew I wanted to get to pregnant women because pregnant women have babies.
Yep.
Amen. Exactly. And so I also knew how important explaining like prenatal stress and everything was too. So I wanted to get to these women to help them with their birth experience so that we could have like a positive impact on that. So then, happy babies, healthy babies, all those things, right? Healthy pregnancy, happy babies. So I wanted to get really more into that prevention side. So following doulas was huge. And I was so blessed to have the leader of a doula organization actually come to meet me on my first day in practice.
That's so cool.
So she had messaged me, hey, can I come and meet you? Of course, I'm so excited. It's my first day in practice. I'm like, here we go. Like, this is the dream, right? Yeah. And so we met. She actually interviewed me and she wanted to know what kind of chiropractor I was.
Yeah, to see if you were good enough for her clients, right?
Exactly. Yeah. She wanted to make sure she was getting quality resources. And honestly, Fort Wayne was kind of lacking in that area of like a ton of prenatal chiropractors. Yeah. So her and I just hit it off. We made a huge, awesome connection, and she has been such a blessing to me and all that whole doula group. So I got in with the doula group. They host doula events where they like meet parents, meet pregnant women so that they can find a doula and find one that fits them. And so I got invited to go to one of those groups. And then I've gone to their events every year since. So every year, it used to be every couple months we would do them. And actually starting in January, they're going to be hosting them at our office, which is super exciting.
Cool.
So it's super full circle.
Yeah.
And we ended up actually using that doula, Kelly.
As your own doula.
As our own doula too. So we used her as our own doula, which was amazing. And as soon as I met her that day, I knew like, hey, I want her to be in my birth space whenever I'm at that point. So
that's so cool. So definitely,
really it.
Yeah, that definitely building community connections right out of the gate. I mean, that was your first day. Social media was the biggest deal for you, and like connecting with them, following them. So that's 100% have a social media, start building it out 3 to 6 months before you even open, right?
100%.
And so
I was doing that when I was in school. I was following them, posting stuff like pregnancy. What are the benefits of chiropractic care during pregnancy?
Yeah.
All of those things. And seriously, just following them. I honestly didn't even really message people. I just like started with following them. And they see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, chiropractic, I've heard of that. So then they follow you back, and then you just keep posting and people see it,
Yep.
you know? So
And that's,
how
I
it
loved how
started.
you said, like, I started as a student. So that is a very practical thing for all students to start to do. I know sometimes you're thinking like, what if my high school friends see this or my college friends? But like, this is part of your identity now, right? You're going to be a pediatric and prenatal chiropractor and you want to own it. And so make sure your bio is up to date. Like you said, like right when I followed them, they saw that I was a prenatal and pediatric chiropractor. Awesome. They're going to probably save your post, put it in Fort Wayne, whatever, and be like, this is the girl I want to research to send my clients to. And so building those community connections are huge. I remember walking into their office one day and I kid you not, I counted, I think it was like 52 pregnant patients on their bump board. Like their bump board is totally bumping. And it was the coolest thing to see. And I was like, holy cow, like they really are prenatal focused. Like you said, really preventing that perfect storm that we always talk about within PX. So that is amazing. I want to transition though to, because this is a great transition part of, why did you guys open your own office?
Yeah. So, well, first I just want to lift you up, honey, because
Cute.
like you coming into, a city that you literally know no one, like how daunting could that feel? And maybe some of you guys too want to move to your dream city, or you've been thinking it out, scoping it out, and like it can be done 100%. And I felt like I already had a good foothold in Fort Wayne, and we definitely did. The practice that we were going into had been there for 20 plus years, but for Rachel to literally start almost a practice within a practice was like a huge thing. And I'd be down at one other end of the hall seeing like a little bit of like kids and moms, and I'd be like, dang, like I want to see more of those kids. So that would be how I really transitioned into that. But why did we want to open our own office was really just seeing the need for that in Fort Wayne, of a place where moms and families can come for answers, can get really what they know that they need, but they might not know it, right?
Yep.
And so just being able to have a place that they're heard, that we listen. People always say that some docs might not fully listen to you or want to hear your full story. And sometimes in the consult room, it's just like, hey, like, go ahead, tell us what's going on. And we really wanted to create a place, and Dr. Rachel likes to use the word community. You'll even see that in our office. It's not a waiting area. We call it a community area. People are like in a circle. The chairs face each other. So people, get to know one another, relate on things. And we felt like where we were at, it could possibly have been done, but it really would have been harder than it needed to be in a way. And so we weighed lots of options and different things how we could do this. And then we thought, wow, what if we just start from a clean slate? And so, made the numbers make sense and so forth. And all the little things are obviously so important. And then we're like, you know what, let's do this.
Yeah. He's totally hitting the nail on the head. But one thing I would say too was just to kind of a little background on the office we were at. Obviously, it was with his dad's practice. And it was again a booming, amazing practice. But it was more pain based for sure, and then more it was insurance, right? So we knew that with kids, most people who see kids know that, not every kid has torticollis, so you can't really bill for insurance, right? So
only 8 visits and you're done. Right?
Exactly. 8 visits and you're done. So we knew that to have a thriving family practice, we needed to be cash based. And that is really a huge reason too, that we were like, okay, we got to open our own. We got to do this.
And it's been such a treat to me to watch you guys do it, because all of those conversations are hard, right? Like if you're listening to this, there's so many, we already said there's 7 chiropractors in our family, right? You want to work with your dad, you want to work with your mom, you want to work with your uncle, and you want that awesome family practice. But sometimes you guys, you have an entrepreneurial spirit. You have, you saw that need and you felt like the Lord was calling you to really fulfill that. You prayed through it. You did all of those things. And was it hard? Absolutely. If I ask them, which you guys can chime in on, but was it the hardest thing you've ever done? Like the hardest decision you've ever had to make? Probably.
1,000,000%.
Yes. But that being said, they were obedient to the Lord's calling on their life. And that was the coolest thing to see is like, sometimes people in your closest circle, right? Even your parents, even your grandparents, even your uncles and aunts and all of the things are your greatest mentors. Sometimes they might disagree with what you want to do. That being said, you have to be so in tune with the Holy Spirit and what is the Lord leading you to and calling you to. And your family and everyone will totally understand that if they're believers as well, right? And so that's where you're still being supported and you're still feeling that support and all the things. But I was just so proud of them for being bold enough to even think about it, right? And so if you're listening to this, and I know I have some friends from chiropractic school who maybe they were a CA at an office and then their chiropractor was like, you know what? You should be a chiropractor. Like you have what it takes. So they sent you to chiropractic school. And then you're like, oh, wow, I actually really love kids and I want to be a pediatric office, but I don't know. So I don't know if I want to go back to the practice who sent me. That's a really hard conversation. And so this is just us being encouraging to you guys of just saying like, pray about it. And if you really feel like this is where you're called to do, find the mentors that you need, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, and find the people who can help you along the way to do that. But be so bold to step out into your calling because parents need you right now. We just talked off script or off camera just a little bit ago of like Rory Vaden says it, but you are perfectly positioned to help the person that you once were. And I think that this story, their story, Dr. Chandler and Dr. Rachel's story is so perfect for that because they're going to help so many people through these conversations and how to start an office of people who need that boldness from you guys. And I think that you totally give that. So I want to know, because this podcast, yes, we're amping the listeners up and we're like, go do what you want to do and what you're called to do, whatever. But how do we do it? Right. And so what are your guys' top, I know this is on the spot, but what are your guys' top 5 like tangible things or things that people should know? Where do I start? Like if I'm opening a practice right now, guys, where do I start? Tell me what to do.
Yeah. I think the number, not in any particular order, but something super important is your mindset. And, you know, coaches, people always say mission, vision, core values, you got to have those things down, of course. And even just behind all that is your mindset behind it and making sure that who you're going to serve. So those kiddos, those moms, those families, that is what this is all about. And if you keep that at the center, then the rest is just going to make sense. And I know, Dr. Rachel, you have some thoughts on like being uncomfortable, if you wanted to kind of talk about that.
I would say, that just came to my mind right away was like, okay, you're going to feel super uncomfortable, or at least we did. Uncomfortable conversations, uncomfortable situations. In so many different ways, right? We had a lot of different conversations with a lot of different people. You're putting your heart into this and you really don't, you're doing things you don't know, right? You have no idea how to start this, how to go to a bank and ask for money, how to do all of these different things. And it is scary because it's all new. So you definitely have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes,
for sure.
And I mean, it's going to be worth it, but it's just, you have to know that you will feel uncomfortable in a lot of different situations. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to be for a little bit, for sure. And maybe for a while, but
I remember I had a call with them one day and I remember Chandler, I mean, you could literally see his eyes were just lit up. Like he was so alive and Rachel was saying, we have this Google list and it just keeps building every single day. Like, I don't even know if we've checked anything off. And Chandler's like, Allie, this is so hard, but this is the most fun I've ever had. And I think that can like sum up your like being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Yes, and so sure. Chandler, what else would you add to this list?
Well, just the last thing on the mindset is really you have to have an abundance mindset. And that's something that has changed for me dramatically over the last year or so is don't be afraid to invest in yourself, invest in the business, pay for the coaching, pay for pediatric experience, whatever you think is going to help get you there, even if there's a couple zeros on the end of it, like that is okay. And even when you get into building out your office, of course, don't just blow through a loan or whatever you're going to do. You have to be smart, have your balance sheet and everything else, but get the nice tables, do the nice things, and people notice that stuff.
Yes.
Like even only being 5 weeks into practice, patients come in and there's a little bit of a wow factor, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want people to feel like they're just spending money to like show something off or whatever. And it's not like that at all. It's, we really value our care, and what we provide is different. So we want our office to be an experience.
Yeah.
So that was just a little thing I feel like is important for me, was changing to an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Just some other tips too. Really have to have people in your corner for sure. So I feel like it kind of falls into different categories almost. One, and you were this in a lot of ways for us, is someone you can share your thoughts with, share your wins with, share the losses with, things that might be a little bit harder. Good friends, they don't need to be chiropractors or anything, or even business owners, just someone that will listen to you. And then also like a financial person in your corner too. So, make sure you have an accountant you can trust, find a good attorney that can help you with different contracts and things like that. And so that was some things that people might not have really tapped on, and we stumbled across it in a way, but it really did make a big difference in those early days for sure.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, having someone in your corner. I know there was days when I would just call Allie at the end of the day and just be like, I don't even know. I would always talk about our list. I'm like, we have this list and it just keeps going and going and going. I don't know if I did anything. We spent, 2 hours at Panera and we didn't check anything off, but we were working the whole time. Like, I have no clue what's happening. So that's how a lot of days felt, especially with us having a baby, right? So we have a little boy. So any parents of young kids know that that's your priority, right? So if he's crying or he's happy or he wants to play with you and he wants me to read him a book and sit in my lap, I mean, of course I'm going to do that first, right? So
just trade off.
Yeah, exactly. So there might be some late nights, nights, early mornings. Just fitting it in nap time was our busiest time,
go
right?
Go ham at nap time.
It's amazing what you can get done in like a 1 to 2 hour nap.
Yes,
you're like,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Where'd my time go before a child?
Exactly.
That's so good.
So that, and then
definitely got to have like a business coach or a mentor, someone who's done it. Whether you're paying for something like that, we did that. Dr. Pete Camiolo is a huge person in our life. You need to have someone who's done it, even if they're not like on a call with you every other week, multiple people. One thing that I wish that we did do, and I guess it kind of turns into a tip that would have been helpful for us, starting back, like Dr. Ellie, you said, in school, shadow. I don't know why I didn't do that more. Just came up with stupid excuses, and being able to see how other offices thrive, don't thrive, whether it's systems, how they market, are they pain-based or not. Finding out what you want to do, I feel like, is almost just as important as what you don't want to do in a practice.
True.
And so really, how are you going to see that if you don't get to go see other offices?
100%. Yeah. Having a mentor is huge in whatever you need that to be. Next, I would say, this is kind of obvious, but finding a location. So finding a location was hard for us. There really was not much in Fort Wayne for options. We're being kind of picky with where we wanted to be. We wanted to have our office look a certain way. We wanted to have a ton of light because I'm obsessed with windows. So we wanted to have a ton of natural light. We wanted to just be welcoming. We wanted open concept. We wanted all these different things. And so finding that space was definitely hard. We started looking March of last year?
Yeah.
Right about March of last year.
March of 2024.
Sorry, March of 2024. Oh, wow. Yeah, this year. And a lot has changed. Wow. And we didn't even sign on our lease until August.
Right? August?
2024?
Yep.
Beginning of August 2024.
So 5 months.
5 months it took us to find a place. And we were looking hard. It wasn't like we were looking hard. So just keep that in mind. And we were praying about it constantly. And we also, it wasn't like we didn't try. We tried to get many leases. Allie knows. So we tried, I don't even know, 3 or 4 probably, that we were so certain we were going to get it. And we were so excited. And then it would fall through. And then it was like, okay, God, are we actually supposed to be doing this? Are we supposed to be leaving? Are we supposed to be opening our practice? Like it was scary for sure. And then we just still felt like, no, we are being called to this, but okay, God, then where's the location?
Yep.
It was a really, it was a trying time for sure.
And something that's actually pretty cool is where we're at now. We found out through a patient that one of the spots that we really, really wanted was number one on the list. They actually haven't even been able to open yet because landlord stuff, getting, different types of things for the city to sign off on and all sorts of stuff with contractors, and, contractor stuff is going to take long for anybody. But we were just like, wow, God, you knew we weren't supposed to be in that spot, even though we thought it was what it was. We never know what God's got in store for us. Just got to get ready for what he does give you. And so one thing that I feel, Dr. Rachel will probably laugh at this, but I always say, and I have from the beginning of this whole journey, is like, you have to burn the ships. So when you're getting into something, you got there, you burn the ship. There's no other way out of this. And we really had that mindset. Once we prayed about it and knew that we wanted to open an office, we're not going back.
Yep.
And
you burn that ship.
Exactly. Like if you have plan B and you're still on plan A, like plan A is going to fail. So it's plan A or nothing. And we knew we're going to open this kick butt pediatric perinatal office in Fort Wayne. There's a market for that literally everywhere. People aren't not having kids. So, they need that care. And especially with this day and age of, just rising nervous system disorders and so many different things. And that encompasses a lot of things. But parents need what we have to offer.
100%. Yeah.
So good. Okay, so let's get to the well. The well is now open. It's been open for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a thriving office.
It feels way
so
longer
excited.
than that. It feels way longer than that. Wow.
Tell us, what were your goals before opening, and then did you get them? Did you achieve them?
So our goals before opening were to hit for our first month. Our goal, we wanted to be really ambitious with our goals. So we did set goals for like the first month, the first quarter, the first year. Obviously we've only had 1 month yet. So our goal was 20 to 25,000 for our first month. And we quadrupled that. So
that is amazing, guys. Won't he do it?
There was a need for Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
And I mean, and really it's like money aside and everything. It's seeing the changes. So now that we have been open a month, we have seen such incredible results already. We've been having like our, 3 times a week patients have their first progress scan.
Yep.
So we do nervous system scans in our office, which you need to do. Like that's not even an option.
100%.
I feel like
non-negotiable.
100% non-negotiable. So we do our scan. So now we're getting the feedback of like how amazing these patients feel after 1 month of care, less anxiety, headaches gone. The coolest one that we probably should talk about is one of our patients who was struggling to get pregnant is pregnant.
Well, and she's okay.
This is
just drop it on us. Rachel. Just drop it on us.
Hold on.
Long
story short, not pregnant to pregnant. I want to walk through that really fast.
Yeah.
So she was under care for a year before, right?
Yeah.
And what was her care plan during that year?
Yes. So during that year, she started off actually with had a baby 18 months prior, had pain, had seen several different chiropractors, had pain for 18 months since her birth. Now, started adjusting her 3 times a week. We did a scan on her, started adjusting her 3 times a week. I can't remember exactly how long. That was at least 1 to 2 months of that. Then we went to twice a week for at least another 2 to 3 months. Then we went down to once a week. Okay?
Yep. So she was seeing you guys, not a different chiropractor.
No, she
you
was
guys.
Seeing me specifically, I'll say. She was. I think I was the only one who actually adjusted her with me. So she was seeing me
for a year,
and we rescanned her. Okay, so we rescanned her, and we were like, man, we're under adjusting her. Her nervous system needs more right now.
So the patient, let's walk through this really quickly.
Yeah.
So this patient had seen you guys for a year prior, maybe once a week, right?
Yes.
And then you rescan her because she's like, man, I'm struggling with fertility. So you rescan her, and what's her new care plan? New
care plan was daily.
That's okay.
So we brought her in daily for 2 weeks. Okay. Yep. We rescanned her each week. And we were super happy with seeing her results. So we were happy, scans looking better, but that needed to stay for about 3 to 4 months.
She needed stability. Her nervous system was,
Yes. Yeah. So she was fight or flight, right? She was shut down. She was exhausted. So we knew she needed more so that her body could get pregnant and could get there. Yep. So we did the daily for 2 weeks, and then we went to 4 times a week. And then we did that for another 2 weeks, and then we went to 3 times a week. At 3 times a week, she has just informed us that she is pregnant. So that's just a testament to making, your care plans are super important, but even someone on wellness care.
Yes.
Scan them again, right? Like especially if something's going wrong, just rescan them because there could be something you're missing. Yeah. Something huge that I thought was why I made it a point that I was the one adjusting her was because I thought, maybe my husband needs to look at her because maybe I'm missing something. And he's amazing too. So I think sometimes we have to realize that with as chiropractors is maybe we need to be adjusting them differently. Maybe, like there's something else. So
which we did with her.
That's exactly. Yeah. So we switched. We had Dr. Chandler adjust her almost every adjustment. And then what we did is switch to every other. Like I would adjust her once, he would adjust her once.
Well, and you guys switched from seated, right? You did seated now. You did some bear hugs.
Yeah. We did all sorts of different adjustments,
but really focusing on not over adjusting.
Exactly. That's a big point.
When you see someone daily or even 3 times a week or whatever it is, you don't have to hit 7-8 segments. You probably shouldn't ever do that. And so when we saw her at that high of a frequency, it was awesome because we got to hit the most important subluxation for that day, 1, 2, whatever it was. And it's a quick adjustment, but the impact that had on her obviously was so dramatic. And we were like crying when she told us on the table the other day that, hey guys, I'm pregnant, and so it was just the coolest thing. And that's back to what we said earlier about why do we do this? Like that's what is in the forefront, when Dr. Rachel was talking about reading some of those progress sheets, someone even wrote, the question was about like gut changes. And she said, no, but I know it's coming. Aww. And we were like, let's go. Like she heard our message. She heard what we have to say.
Yeah.
And so that is just so rewarding. And those late nights, you're up till midnight, one's napping with Rowan or whatever, like that makes it all so worth it. And you forget about, the hard stuff. And it is fun. It's the best thing.
I mean, they quadrupled their goal first month and listen to what they're talking about. It's all about the miracles that we see. It's all about the wins. It never gets old, right? We always say like expect and experience miracles. And sometimes it's hard to not get used to the miracles because you see so many and you're just like, oh, this kid, I knew that was going to happen. I know my gut's going to get better, right? Like that lady said. Yeah. But just like, oh my goodness, like I already said, like, won't he do it? But I mean, look at you guys. Like this is month 1. We're going to have to do a part 2 to this podcast because this is just fire. Okay, so something I also want to bring up that you guys did that was genius is you had a wait list for your office because, you don't know when your build out's going to be done. You don't know all of the things when they can start scheduling. Right. So talk to us about wait lists and all the other things, little tips that you want to mention.
Yeah, so that was just a really not an easy way, but a good way of collecting information, name, number, email address, whatever you want to put on your website. And we were all worried about having our website be perfect, all this stuff, and we hadn't even opened yet. But really, you just have to have like MVP, most viable product, right? Nice. And so being able to have that wait list gave us all the information. So as we found out when we were going to be open, don't put too much pressure on your contractor. He might push back on you a little bit. But
put enough, right?
Yeah. Definitely be in his ear for sure. And so as far as the wait list goes, then we had literally between the moms and the kiddos, like 300 people as potential patients. Mm-hmm. And so that gave us such a heavy launch and really is the reason why we were able to meet and exceed those original goals that we had set. And now we have just set even more goals to keep that momentum going. So the wait list was huge, and it doesn't sound like this monumental idea, but it really did, save our butt, especially if you're nervous about opening.
Yeah.
Just being able to have somewhere for people to put their information, but you have to follow up with them. Mm-hmm. So whether that's email blasts, even updates, people love updates. Put it on your Instagram story, all this stuff, like join our wait list, whatever it might be, follow up with them. And that was just very helpful for us for sure.
Yeah, and I'll even mention too that we still have people like joining our wait list right now. Yeah. Not as many, right? Because at the beginning it was like we were posting all the time.
Hype it up.
Join. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still have, probably at least a couple a day, if not like 1 or 2 a day joining that wait list. So it's still growing. on our website, which is super cool.
Well, and what was great about you guys is that you were ready to process all of these patients, because as a startup, you see 300 people that you have to bring into your office, and you're like, oh, shoot, do we even know what we're doing? We got to have this system in place and this and this. Obviously not being perfect, but having those mentors in place, having the people who've done it before you that you can learn from.
Yeah.
And like Dr. Tony and Christina always say is like, starting out with a CA. So what did you guys do for that?
Shout out PX, really, honestly, for helping us with that abundance mindset again of, well, if you guys have all these people that you need to see, you and Rachel, why did you open this practice as well? To have more time for your family, but you're going to do it just the two of you? Like, that's going to be impossible. So we started with a full-time CA and then another person that's transitioned into a CA as well. We initially brought her on to help with our son, Rowan. Like we said, he's at work. So, 2 full-time paid people. And
right out of the gates.
Yeah, right out of the gate. And honestly, without them, shout out our team. You're amazing. We have just been so blessed to have them take care of so many things that aren't like doctor duties, really.
Yeah. I will say too, because I was worried about that. I was like, okay, let's start with 1, a little more nervous about starting with 2. I was like, do we really need someone to be there for Rowan? And I could not be happier. We have Jade and Crystal. Thanks, guys. So I'm so happy we have them. Seriously. Obviously, like we said, we had 300 people wait list. So we needed to get a lot of scans in.
Yeah.
And Dr. Chandler and I realized quickly that we are the adjusters and we are the communicators. So what could someone else be doing so that we could see more people, right? Increase that volume and increase our impact.
For sure.
So having Jade already there, teaching her to scan the first week, which was not a plan, has been amazing.
Well, now you guys already need to hire again, right? We're looking for, this is a...
We really are. Yeah, we really are now looking for, because we're still currently doing our financial discussions for our care plans. And so that's our next step.
Care plan. Make sure you care plan.
Yes. Care plans are huge, right? And so that is the next step, is that we are actively looking. I mean, we're 5 weeks in, you guys, and we have 2 CAs. We're about to hire the third. And we're ready for it. And I just keep thinking about the analogy that Dr. Chandler said a few times, is like, we're pushing a boulder up the hill and like, we need more people to help.
Aww,
so like, we're like, just the 2 of us, we can't do it, right? Like, we need more. And so that's why we're like, okay, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's, 5 weeks in, so what? 3 CAs, let's go.
That's amazing.
Probably need another doc before the year's over.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's set the goals up here, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
No, I absolutely love that. I want you to just read off. I'm kind of looking at your list here.
Sure,
I just want you to like fire those things off from voice recordings. Yeah.
So something that we loved also was from our coach, shout out Dr. Pete, was make your vision and then make a version that you can voice record to yourself. Hop on your iPhone, whatever it is, record that audio of you talking to yourself 3 months from now or whenever that is, at least a little bit into the future as far as when you're going to open. Talk about your goals, where you want to be, what you have done, talking to yourself in the past. And so Dr. Rachel and I both did that. We built our vision together. And so then you listen to it every single day. And the coolest thing is literally, like, I could probably say the whole 4-minute thing right now. I won't, but it was have 18 new patients week 1 and have our first paid in full care plan week 1. Those were some things number wise, of course, keeping the patient forward thinking, but we saw 10 new patients day 1 or something with all the scans. And day 1, we had a 60 visit pay, for their total care plan.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh, let's buckle up. Like, we are going hard right now.
Yeah.
And
so cool.
We are going to really impact a lot of people. And we can tell we made the right decision. And Dr. Rachel says this a lot, is we might not be this successful if it wasn't supposed to be where we're supposed to be at. Yeah. And so, praise to God that he is blessing us in this, and so many cool things that, the whole reason we're really doing this is, to build God's kingdom. Like Dr. Tony said, is being kingdom driven. And so, that's more that we can help with our church and all these other things, and giving back and, having different drives it's Christmas right now. And so being able to do those things is so cool. not to get like emotional about it, but like that's really what we're here for.
100%. We're created to worship God, and that's exactly what you guys are doing, being the hands and feet of Jesus. And that is so cool to see. I remember hearing a story from someone who went to serve in Africa. And usually when people go and serve to Africa, they see how much we don't need in America, right? Like Africa doesn't, they don't have all these things that we have. But this woman, she had switched her mindset and she said, no, I'm not going to get rid of my things, whatever. Like I'm not worshiping them or anything. I'm going to work harder so that I can serve these kids and so that I can give more. And that was the coolest thing to me, because it's like, that's exactly why we're here. That's exactly why the well started. It's so that we can work our butts off. A lot of people talk about balance and all these things. And yeah, sure. Like I love my family and they come first, right? God, family, and chiropractic. That being said, it's like, man, I'm going to work my tail off because I'm going to give everything I have. And so are you guys. That's why the well has started, is you're going to give everything that you have to serve these families and serve these kids and ultimately bring them with you to heaven, right? All we can bring to heaven is our kids and people, right? Not these things.
A couple like granular things.
Let's give the people some things that they can actually do. So get your notebook. Let's write these down.
These are like silly little things that you think about like right before you go to bed. So if you're going to have like a desk built for your office, like a front desk, I'm taller, so don't do it for you, do it for someone who's going to actually work there, make all the measurements. Your snacks for your kids, I think you definitely should do that, and get the organic ones. You wouldn't put other crap in your body like Cheez-Its and stuff. So get the good stuff but put them out of reach from kids. That's something that we didn't do. It's too low, and we love those kids, but we might have to put a 1 per on there. And then something that I think about sometimes is your door handles. They make ones that are square, and if it's not perfect, like if you have a little ADD OCD in there, you want them to be circular. So if they rotate, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And then, just like little things. I don't even know.
Yeah,
little tiny.
Stupid,
the other things I just want to mention really quick too would be, we started with the awesome software Chiro HD. We were debating getting Jane off the start just because no issue with Jane, but it's a little cheaper. But we're super happy that we did get Chiro HD off the start.
Well, you're seeing so many patients who need that high tech.
Needed that, which is amazing. Obviously, the Insight Scan, 100%.
Right.
Love it. And then also our tables. We did get really nice Tula tables, elevation tables. You can't see or tell maybe, but I'm 5 feet. He's 6'3". So we're sharing tables. So you put that's where you want to
spend the money.
You're going to be using those every single day. And
and one thing we wish we did. So, get the CA Momentum course. Okay, get the PXCA Momentum course from the start, because they are going to use it and need it. Seriously, we should have got that from the start and done the training. So that's
as docs, we don't know how to be CAs, right? I'm lost. So that CA Momentum course is amazing to train those CAs and then bring them to team and leadership and all of those things. Chandler, what were you going to say?
It's silly. But so I spent a lot of time putting together this Excel spreadsheet. I was so proud of it for our financial part of like presenting that to the patient and making it. So all you have to do is put in how many times per week and this, and then it auto makes it. I didn't realize this literally until recently. Cash Practice does that for you. So Cash Practice is like a credit card terminal based, that's how you can accept payment, and they're integrated with a lot of the EHR systems. I shopped around because it was important to me to find the best deal as far as like transaction percentages, which, as a startup, I feel like that should be important to you. You don't want, some big box person taking a ton of your per transaction card swipe or tap. So we went with like a mom and pop one, and they have really good customer service and we're really happy with them. But we are scaling and growing faster than we originally had thought. So we're going to jump into Cash Practice because it can handle that capacity and be able to, make your life easier for sure. So that was all I had.
That's so good. Love it. Well, today has been the most fun meeting. I cannot wait for a part 2 to this. I can't wait to interview you guys and see where the well is. 6 months from now, a year from now, don't you guys just want to check in with them all the time? I mean, we can probably call them after every single day and hear all their things. But thank you guys so much for taking the time, for being here. Where can we find you? How can these listeners reach you if they have any questions or anything?
For sure. Yeah. You can follow us on social media at thewell.fw and just send us a DM there.
Yeah.
It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us is that way. Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks, Dr. Allie.
Of course. All right, guys. Well, if you are on the socials, follow us on everything at the Pediatric Experience. I'm your co-host, Dr. Allie Wright, and this is the Family Practice Podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Hey, Dr. Tony here, and I wanted to say thank you for listening to the Family Practice Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to the show so you don't miss a thing. Also, if you're looking for more content from us, you can absolutely subscribe to our newsletter, watch exclusive episodes on YouTube, and dive deep into the articles and blogs on our website. All of this is linked in today's show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.